Do you value anonymity in an interview?
Yes, to an extent, because I have been like in teaching and in teacher training, and anonymity in terms of media and social media is a really, really big part of it. So like I've not had Facebook for a few years, like only for a brief spell sometimes, because it's just too difficult and too kind of dangerous in a way, because you're exposing part of yourself to your pupils that's not professional, even in like profile pictures and things that you just don't want to. So to an extent, yes, but at this moment in time I feel quite free.
So in general, you do value your privacy?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever had a vocation?
Yes, I've had a vocation every single day. I think, and I believe that everybody in the world has a vocation, and they have like an overall life vocation, and they have like every day they have a vocation, and like, so my vocation for today is to meet with my folks and be their daughter, and then like I believe that I've got a life vocation, so that's like to the married life, to the single life, to the religious life, and that like the process of my life is finding out which vocation in like broad terms I have, and working towards fulfilling it, because I believe in God, and I believe that God has a plan for everybody, and that the plan is the thing that will make them the most happy and most fulfilled. So I believe that if we were able to magically find out what our vocation was, that in some ways life would be a lot easier. But obviously I think also God allows us to like the process to gradually unfold, and that's really important as well, because at different points of our life we're not ready for certain things, and we're not like fully formed in who we are going to be and who we are, or aware of that. So yes, I have a vocation, and I don't think I know what it is yet.
Have you ever felt that you knew exactly what your life vocation was?
Yeah, definitely. So for the last 4 years I felt really strongly that I had a vocation to be a religious sister. So I thought that this was it. I'd like been praying lots about it, and this is the thing that I felt like most peaceful about, like that would give me the most peace. And that's a key like concept that's really linked to vocation, being like the place that you're most at peace, and the concept that you're most at peace with. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go for this. So I like tried it out slightly by kind of making vague contact with some religious people, like religious orders, and in hindsight it possibly isn't my vocation, but it's still like so unclear to me. Like I really don't have any idea, and I could go either way.
So you made contact. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Like I emailed them and went to some retreats, and like did some interviews with them, so like with people here, and then like it's kind of like Star Wars, but each order has got a mother house, which is kind of like the mothership, and that's where they take all of the like the people who are postulants. So that's like people who think that this might be their vocation. You go and live there for at least a year, and then you start a training process for 2 more years there, and then you like go into further training for like 5 or 6 more years, like possibly elsewhere. So I like did the interview, and at the end of the interview they were like, this is probably not what's going to make you most happy, and I was like so shocked by that, because I felt like I had decided that it was what was going to make me the most happy.
How did you feel in that moment?
I felt like we were playing a board game, like me and life, and that all of the pieces had just been swept off the board game, and I had to go back to the start, which was like at the one point so liberating, because it was like being born again as like a new human being with absolutely no direction in a lot of ways. And at the other time I was like very shocked, because I had a sense of security, and like I've made the decision, I figured my life out, and then that was all gone, because I was like, maybe this isn't it. So I guess like you could make a parallel to marriage. So it's like if you got engaged to somebody and shortly afterwards they told you, I don't think this is for me, and they broke off the engagement. It was like a little bit like that. But I didn't feel like really, really sad, and that was because the thing that I try to base my life on, or the person, is God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. So I think if I had been basing my entire life and all my hopes and love on my vocation,
Yeah.
then I would have been utterly devastated. But like I kept remembering that like God loves me, and even if I make the wrong decisions in vocation, He loves me, and if I pick the wrong vocation, He loves me, and so I still had like that super solid element in my life.
So the feeling that in the face of love, all human feelings don't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, or that there's just such a sense of security in knowing that you're loved by somebody eternal who is like unchanging and will continue to love you forever and has loved you forever and has willed you into being through
Right.
His love.
Wow.
It's a good solid basis to put your life on, I think, because it doesn't change.
My final question is about one of your passions, and that is
Yeah.
biology.
Yeah,
My question is, why should anybody care about the inner workings of a cell?
because the inner workings of the cell are the inner workings of God, obviously. Because I'm so fascinated by like the divine creator and like how He made the world and how like He directed billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of particles into certain arrangements and certain formations, and how beautiful it all is.
So you've never felt a contradiction between your faith and science?
No, I don't think so. Possibly early on, whenever I had more contact with more, like, possibly what you might call fundamentalist Christianity, although not like fundamentalist and like fundamentalist violence Christianity,
right.
But people who are like, nothing else matters apart from the Bible. Whereas now feel like I've got a more rounded view that science and faith work together. They don't contradict each other because God made science. And in terms of the cell, like if you look inside the cell, you find mitochondria and chloroplasts. It's a plant cell, and these used to be tiny other living beings who got like subsumed into the cell, and through the process of evolution, they're now one thing, and how beautiful that is. And all of this process is constantly happening around you, like evolution, and like all of the plants are like busy photosynthesizing. We have absolutely no idea, and there's like these huge chemical reactions taking place and movements of energy across the world. Not like chi energy, but like actual movements of heat energy across the world in the oceans, and it's just so fascinating. And we can like look at them and study them a little bit and then stand in awe at God. And different people need different things in order to like bring them close to God and like for them to be able to stand in awe of God. And for me, it's like looking at the world around me, looking at the universe and looking at the cell. For some people, it's like words and literature and poetry, mainly. And they look at poetry and they're like, I see the glory of God in this. Even if the poet was not Christian, but just the fact that like God created a human being who could write words so beautifully.
Yeah.
Or even speak. God created human beings who can speak. And like, although animals communicate, it's not the same as poetry for speech, I don't think. Even though it's very beautiful.
That's brilliant.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you for your time.